right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Around the Colosseum. I know it's been a minute since we've recorded and had an episode. Timing, life, just kind of happens. But with this new Around the Colosseum, I also bring in a new co-host, Danny Frost, referee for Empire Pro Wrestling. Danny, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a slow, easy day. Not too much going on. Good flow. I'm okay with it.
All right. So, since we last recorded Around the Colosseum, Kevin Sanchez was our Empire champion. And since then, he's now retired because he lost his career with title on the line match. Several people retired that night. So we've got a brand new gallery of, I want to say criminals. They're not criminals, but, rogue gallery, Batman. You know that analogy.
Right.
So, kicking off the Harvest Heatwave, which was our event for September, we had Colby Thielen come out and tell the Empire audience that in October, we'll get an update on Omar. Omar is the young man that's been battling cancer for 2 years that we will have benefits for. And during Colby talking about this, Father Patch came out. Him and Deacon Hendricks. Now, God's work. And Father Patch took a little exception to how Colby was talking about that. He said Colby was trying to make it all about him. Danny, what's your thoughts and view on that?
I didn't really see it that way. To me, it was just a man delivering a message. We're here to know about the child Omar, see how he's doing with his cancer, and I guess feelings were different. I'm not really sure.
Well, I can't talk for Father Patch, but I can only assume that when Father Patch heard the I's and the me's from Colby, because there was a lot of I's and me's in that, he took it as he was trying to make it about himself and not just, hey, I'm going to give an update about Omar next month.
You could see it that way. Two sides of a coin. Every person has their own views on things. So, if that's the way he took it, we can't say anything about that.
Which, that brought out our first announced match for Turnbuckle Terror, October 21st, 19th, something like that. 19th, yeah. Of Trap versus God's Work. Mm-hmm. Danny, what do you know about Trap?
They're new faces. From what I understand, we've got a guy named Remy. We've got a guy named Marquez. From what I could hear when they came out from the back, Remy seems very spoken, a little charismatic per se. Didn't hear much from the other guy, but from the views I got from seeing them, they look like they might be a force to come in Empire Pro Wrestling.
Right, and Remy seems very, very colorful, and not only with the way he was dressed, but just his words and his mannerisms.
Mm-hmm. So
I think with you being the ref on duty next month, you might have a little bit of a handful with him. He seems like the troublesome type.
You might be right. I might have to keep my head on a swivel and my eyes locked in.
The first match was Luther J. Diamond against Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid would win with a scissors kick. How did you enjoy that action in the ring? Because I know standing outside, I enjoyed it.
They were competitive. It was, for the most part, it's pretty clean. Zay was a little here, and I think Billy may have tried to be a little under tactic as well. But when it all was all said and done, it was a good match. Billy came through with a great scissor kick, very reminiscent of Booker T. It was a good match. It was a good way to start the show.
Definitely. There was more to come, and the next match after that, you seem to have been a little off your game on. I was insanely happy of the Psychotic Messengers, his return to Empire against a Silver Hank from Ireland.
I thought someone said something about Scandinavia. I don't know. That guy. But let's talk about Zayn. So, as an outside viewer, as a fan, I'd seen him compete, and I was just like, he is wild. As a referee inside the match, officiating him, that dog was crazy. It just something special. I didn't know what he was doing behind me. I couldn't move because he's strong. It was wild. But yeah, that was intriguing. And Hank is, I don't know.
Yeah,
Hank was a treat.
and Zayn didn't have his handler there. Lucian wasn't there that night, so
Yeah.
like he was just completely off his leash.
There was no. I got him to calm down for a second. I gave him a little rub, and then he went right back to where he was. I was just like, dang. I thought, good dog, but no, that's not the case for that evening.
Right, and with all the quirkiness and excitedness of I don't know what type of dog I would say he would be, but Zayn would put away Silver Hank quickly.
Yeah. I mean, in due fashion, it was I dropped my pad. Sorry. Once that's, I believe, I couldn't tell if it was a rear naked or a sleeper. He had it in tuck quite tightly and good. But the second it was on there, I knew it was a matter of time before Hank was tapping. I was just waiting for the arm to come up and start. And then, it was a dog running around with his leash off from there.
Yeah. But I know the fans enjoyed it. Like, fans always enjoy Zayn.
They definitely got a treat out of that match for sure.
And then the next thing that happened that night was some very disappointing news, because Duncan Kincaid came out to the ring with the Sanders brothers, and Duncan shared some of his struggles he's been having, which are leading him to step away from being an active competitor at Empire Pro Wrestling for now.
Yeah, it's a tough loss. Duncan is, he's been around for a long time. I mean, consistently for at least, I know, the past few years that I've been a part of the company, I've seen him. He's been a figure. He's been a signature, person that you'll see. So all the best to him. Health is way more important than anything, especially when you have, a family. So for that, it's just the best wishes. Hope that he gets healthy as best he can, and if he gets back in the ring, can't wait to see it. If he doesn't, well, I got to see him in the ring, and the man's yeah.
Right, and he did his job as a professional wrestler.
100%.
Like, you hate him or you love him, he drew that heat.
Exactly.
He even had someone booing him when he was trying to let the news out, which kind of aggravated me.
Yeah, I was ringside for that, and I
thought the Sanders brothers was gonna lose their shit.
They were definitely getting pretty upset, and I don't think the fan understood the true gist of it. They may have thought it was a bit of story or whatever it is, but no, when it's someone's health, we don't joke about that. We're putting on entertainment for you guys. But when it comes to health, that's completely different.
Yeah, we've seen him cheered, we've seen him booed, both. And to elicit a reaction from fans like that is all you can do as a professional wrestler, or hope to do. And we can't wait for Duncan to get back in the ring. So the match that followed that and changed the mood slightly for the better was Jay Hazard with Shield Maiden Cass against Pastor Brent, and that had a lot going on in it. I mean,
it really did.
Brent took, I think it was Kenny's phone, and recorded stuff during the middle of the match.
I've never tried so hard to keep my composure from something so hilarious. Like, I'm doing my best to officiate this match, and this man has a cell phone and just elbow drop. And I went back and watched the video, and I'm laughing again. Like it was hilarious. It was definitely a highlight of the night for the match for sure. Like if anyone's talking about, it's like, hey, you remember when Pastor Brent took the phone like that? That was golden, unplanned, like just randomly. Hey, let me see your phone. It's recording. I'm gonna go do some wrestling moves in the ring with your phone. Like that was, you can't make that up.
So you said you went back and watched the footage.
I
Did
did.
you just watch Pastor Brent's footage of the match, or did you watch the entire match to see where, yeah, it was a wild match, but you missed several times where the Shield Maiden Cass interfered?
Yeah. And the two things I can say to that is my eyes can see only what my eyes can see, as well as my job as a referee is to make sure that every competitor, whether they're getting booed, whether they're getting cheered, is safe to compete. I genuinely thought Jay may have been hurt. I'm checking the neck, I'm checking the back, I'm checking the shoulders. As you see, if you look, he throws me away after it happens and goes back to the attack. At that moment, I knew pulled one over on me. That's in the Rolodex now.
Well, there were several times she interfered with the match.
There was, and it was every time it was Jay going for an injury, trying to say something like that. So, like I said, that's in the Rolodex now. Something like that's going to stick next time I see it. It's going to be eyes looking back quicker, paying more attention, watching where she's at the whole time. So we'll see. We'll see a bit of a see. We'll see how that works out.
Well, I mean, if you know she's prone to interfering, why are you even going to let her out ringside?
Make a valid point. You make a valid point. Said we'll have to see what happens.
All right. Then after that, we had Tank Bryson versus Sean Sanders, where Sean just wanted Tank to lay down flat for him.
It had me going for a second there. I wasn't sure. I was like, is this what we're about to do? Like, first thing popped in my head was the finger poke of doom back in the 90s. I was just like, please don't let me just see what I think about to see. So when Tank did what he did, I was just like, all right, let's get this match going. That's what we're here to see. So it was quite, I don't even really know the word to use for it. Eluding. I mean, that's probably not the word I want to use, but I can't quite think of the word I want to use for it. But I'm glad the match continued from there, because that would have been a doleful moment for the entire crowd.
So you mentioned the finger poke of doom. Do you know what happened that very same night that's also a pretty much infamous WCW blunder?
Go ahead and remind me.
That's the same night Mick Foley won the WWF Championship. A lot of people forget that it's the same night that it happened.
That was a moment for wrestling. Plain and simple. That's like the underdog of underdogs finally being like, I got it. So I remember that as a kid. I remember my dad flipping back and forth between the channels trying to figure out which show he was going to watch. It was
we never
it was the war.
We never flipped back and forth. It was always WCW, and they got crazy at the end. A DQ finish on a no DQ match, but still, to me, it was the better product. I loved it more.
I'm not going to argue with you that you're right. I remember. Well, for me, it was I had a specific bedtime, so I was able to watch that full first hour of Nitro. Raw came on an hour after, so I was just like, my dad would let me watch bits and pieces of it, and I had to get to bed. So for me, it was WCW. We've had this conversation before. You may remember it was when EPW had an auction. I can't remember. It was a while back. But you asked me what got me into wrestling. I told you, one match, Sting versus Muta, and that's what got me into professional wrestling. Yet an American and a Japanese guy, both of them face painted, just out there competing, beating the holy bejesus out of each other. but also putting on a wonderful wrestling match at the same time.
See, I'm hurt because we did not have that. You confused me with someone else. We did not have this conversation.
I promise you. Because they were auctioning off a Great Muta signed autograph picture, and that's what struck the conversation between us. It's been a while.
I don't remember EPW ever having an auction.
It's the show that I actually met you there. Like I said, it's been some while back. I can't remember who the auction was initially for, but that was the show I met you. Oh man, I'm trying to remember who all even wrestled in that match or that show. I can't off the top of my head. I'd have to go back in my phone and even look at my pictures to try to find it. But yeah, that's when I met you. That's added you on Facebook and stuff like that. And kind of started following you from there.
All right. Well, that says bad stuff from my memory then.
No, it's okay. Like I mean, it was like we talked to each other one off, and I honestly think shortly after that, I kind of was away for a little bit, and it was probably about 6-7 months ago I came back into Empire and really got back heavy into everything. So
right. So let's refocus a little back towards the Tank Bryson Shawn Sanders match, because that's what our fans are here for. They don't want to listen to us reminisce about the various awesome WCW days, even though probably majority of them were WWF fans. But one thing that I have to give you kudos for is Scott gave Shawn his cane, and you kicked the cane off the rope, which led to the 3 count for Tank.
I mean, you reap what you sow. You're clear. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Just let you hold on to the cane? I tried to tell you to let go. I tried to remove your hands. First instinct, I'm kicking the cane. I'm not trying to knock the cane out your hand at this point in time. You held on. Sunset flip continued. He was down for the 3. I mean, I can't say anything else. I mean, you're trying to cheat. My job is to stop that as best as I can.
Well, now, if we had either Shawn or Scott on here, they would not admit to trying to cheat.
Oh, of course not.
They would say there's nothing against the rules of having a cane hooked to the rope. Because is there anything against the rope or the rules against using that? They're not hitting anyone with it. I mean, one might even say they should be getting a rope break.
I mean, that's a question to throw in the air for our viewers to ponder upon. I can't give a solid answer on that. That would be me going into the rule book and taking a deep, deep dive. But in my eyes, that was cheating. I had to stop it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure in the eyes of everybody with a sense of pro wrestling, that was a devious, underhanded tactic. Just like trying to get Tank, who we knew would never lay down, to lose, even if the paycheck's in the back. I mean, we knew that would never happen. But Shawn and Scott and the Saints see it different ways.
That they do. I'm going to tilt to the side just here because I know this light's kind of right there. So, there we go. Not so much taken away from us. But yeah, bottom line is, I mean, you can use a cane to try to hold yourself up. The cane's got to go.
Unless you're a little old lady who needs it to walk.
Of course,
you can't take little old lady's cane.
Then I'm going to personally help you to where you need to go, because that's what you're supposed to do. But that man ain't a little old lady. It's damn near a giant. So I digress.
All right. And then we had the EPW Internet Television Championship with a 10-minute time limit. Damien Morte versus Merc, which you held the rope open for Merc.
I mean, I was being nice. He pointed at the rope. I was like, I'm a gentleman. I thought you might be a gentleman. I'll hold the rope for you. Obviously, he's not a gentleman. You'll never see that again.
Which, that was a good match. Like, nice back and forth. It went to that 10-minute limit. In fact, I think the pin, it was almost a 3 count right as the bell rang. Crossface to roll up.
I'm coming down for it, and I hear the bell, and I look up directly at you, and you gave me the time cue, and I was just like, "That's what it is." Immediately made the call. Call was made, and of course, Merck did what he did.
Well, I mean,
Called
Mark
out.
thought he won.
But no, I was trying to tell him, you didn't win. I need the title. At that point in time, he was just hugging it like a teddy bear that he'd never found before. So, both of them started calling it. I believe Merck initiated, he wanted 5 more minutes. I can beat him. Or Morte. I mean, he jumped. Yeah, bring it. Come on. 5 more minutes. And of course, I'm not allowed to make that call. That comes from the big boss. I don't have my earpiece, so I'm waiting for a signal. I need to know. I'm waiting. I take a look over you. Maybe you've heard something. I look back. I'm turning around. I'm seeing him get hit with Morte getting hit with the title. What are we doing, Merc? What are we doing? He's trying to roll him up for a 3 count. There's no restart. He's trying to argue with me about it. I'm telling him. The match hasn't been restarted. California Love comes on out of nowhere. Here comes Kevin. You want your 5 minutes? You got it. I look over at you. You do your thing. I turn around. I'm seeing pedigree. Roll up. 1, 2, 3. That's.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4th, 5th time was the charm for the pedigree for Morte.
I believe it was a reach, and he tried to lock it in multiple times, but I mean, it was Merck's own doing that failed him. So,
which I'm kind of opposed to that 10-minute time limit. I mean, it's nice to have those things, but it seems like every one of our TV championship matches goes into that overtime, or
it does.
The competitors don't want to go in. That's something our former commissioner, Christopher Samuel Dean, set back in either January or February. I can't remember. It's been
a little bit.
Yeah. And
which I wouldn't be opposed. I'm there. Let it keep going. Let it go.
I'm down for it if
more time.
I'm down for it if they stop restarting the matches. I mean, because if you're going to restart the match, and what's the point? I mean, Duncan Kincaid faced, I think it was Badger James 1 month for it. Restart the match, boom, immediate pinfall. Harvest Heatwave, Damian Morte, Mark. Restart the match, boom, immediate pinfall. So, I mean, I know it was set for, I think, TikTok or something like that. It has a 10-minute limit. But screw the TikTok followers. If you want to see the action, be there live, just like you're going to be able
person. That way you raw energy that you truly feel. You're not going to feel it. Of course, you can feel through the TV and your screen only so much. In person, what's The Rock do? The Goosies, they're there. It's real. It's a real thing. It's an endorphin high like you can't explain if you've never been to a professional wrestling show.
Which next month we have 2 options or 2 chances to be there live for the EPW action. The first is October 5th at HallowsCon in McAlester, Oklahoma. They got a show in former AEW and WWE superstar from Perry, Oklahoma, Jack Hager is going to be there. I think, as far as I know, Leo Fox is also returning to the Empire Pro Wrestling ring. He's been out for a while.
I believe so.
And then October 19th, we have your tag titles, God's Work versus Trap. And that's so far just the only one announced. And that was even before we get to our tag team championship match for Harvest Heatwave, which is Hell's Kitchen versus God's Work.
That match was a show. Is the best way to describe it.
Lots of orders were up.
Yeah, a lot of orders were up. I'll put it like this. I'm new. I know that. I called more tags in one match than I think I made my whole career. I've never seen, even watching my entire life, I've never seen any more tags than Hell's Kitchen used. I mean, they utilized it every chance oof. Palm was a little sore after that match from calling the tags.
I mean, CRD, Canadian Red Devil and Luchador, also known as Hell's Kitchen together, for those who don't know, seem to base their offense around tag teaming.
Very much.
In those moves. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of tags. But God's work pulled it out in the end with the victory.
They did.
And yes, God's work that was their first defense. They just reformed last month. But people who haven't been around Empire for a while don't realize Deacon Hendrix is a reversion to something Ozzy had did before. Padge and Ozzy have teamed before as God's work, and that's how they're bonding so nicely together now.
Exactly, chemistry's already there. You can more or less say they turned a page in the good book, took upon a different verse.
Don't tell me you're going to try to get me to drink their Kool-Aid now, are you?
I don't like Kool-Aid.
So the main event of Harvest Heatwave was our champion, Malachi, versus a newly reinstated E-Bone. And in my opinion, that was a heck of a match. They were throwing in some moves I hadn't seen. Compared to a few of the other matches, it was fast-paced. Malachi hit the page turner. He hit his flatliner. And one of my favorite moves by Malachi that almost sets him up for a Shattered Dreams, but he hits that lung blower instead. In the ring, all that action. What was going on with your mind?
It was keeping up with the pace. There was one moment where I had a bit of concern for E-Bone because he went for the Swanton, and I mean, ring presence of Malachi to roll out of the way is just elite because he crashed and he burnt, and I was worried for a second. I had checked on him, saw him start moving. He was responsive, so the match continued there. When Malachi set him up in the corner, I was worried. I thought I was about to have to make a call, and next thing you know, he smashed him to the ground, caught me off guard. Back and forth, though, it was a great match. It really was.
I mean, I like seeing the Shattered Dreams. It's a very unique move. I hate that it's a disqualification move. Maybe next time the Shattered Dreams get set up, you just look the other way.
Gotta keep my eyes on the opponents.
Which, speaking of keeping your eyes on opponents and stuff, you did a okay job in that match about keeping the eyes on. Because I do believe you've seen when Tank yanked the chain out of E-Bones.
I did. And I on that, it was one of those you almost have to just be a sense of awareness. Maybe not even to that extent. Listen to what's going on. I hadn't seen him in just a second, turned my eyes, and at that moment I see Tank doing what he did. And kudos to Tank. That's that trust and that build that him and Malachi have to just, or they're watching each other's back.
Right, and Tank wasn't even out there to start the match, and he's out there making that save. It's just amazing how the psychotic messengers have that intuition to know.
Yep. Yeah, it was you said it best. It was a great match. The back and forth, fast pace. It was a lot to pay attention to, and overall, when it came down to, Malachi got the win, retained as champion.
All right, and with that, that's the card that we had for Harvest Heatwave.
So it was.
Coming up in October, we have 2 chances to see EPW superstars in action. One is on October 5th in McAllister, Oklahoma at the Hallows Con. All Hallows Carnage, I think is what that event is called.
Sounds right.
And then the second is our normal third Saturday of the month, and that is Turnbuckle Terror. I'll have flyers for both at the end of this, so don't worry if we forget or you don't know the locations. It's gonna be there. Just hit that little pause button. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Tell us how Danny did as his first time. And Danny, I'll let you take us out.
Okay, well, that's Johnny. I'm the Frost. This has been Around the Colosseum. Can't wait to see you next time.